Hello, everyone. Welcome to this last session of Imagine 2025. My name is Linda Ding. I'm Senior Director of Product and Solutions Marketing at Automation Anywhere, where I serve as the orchestrator across all of our product team, solutions team, marketing, sales, partners. So I would say I'm the ultimate orchestrator. And joining me today, let's do a quick introduction. Curtis.
So my name is Curtis Holliday. I'm the Enterprise Automation Manager for Owens & Minor. We've been working on automations for about 7 years, and we built about 100, we've automated about 100 processes. So we're happy to be here today to learn about the new features and to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done.
I'm Gopi Waitla. I'm from Travel and Leisure. My role is application delivery manager, managing some of the systems as well as projects under low-code solutions. We have done a pretty good job of delivering a lot of solutions using Automation Anywhere and some other low-code solutions. And I'm excited to share some journey about travel and leisure, as well as some solutions we developed as part of our journey.
That's great. Welcome. And last but not least, Jay.
Hey, my name is Jay Bala. I'm an SVP of product at Automation Anywhere. Been at the company for 9+ years. I manage a portfolio of products which includes business user-facing capabilities like Automation Copilot, the conversational stuff we do with Amazon Q, and many more. Looking forward to the session. Thank you for attending.
Great. Awesome. So today's topic is about lessons learned from automation leaders, especially in terms of scaling the automation enterprise-wide, and also how you can effectively introduce advanced technology such as Agentic Process Automation to upscale your workforce. Now, talking about the APA, before we diving into the lessons learned, I wanted to just quickly recap what you have learned at this Imagine 2025, the APA. Agentic Process Automation. Just a quick recap, knowledge review, is the APA stands for an advanced automation framework that orchestrates across your AI agents, automation, bots, but more importantly, taking your human experts into the loop. Right? So this is a very important concept as we are advancing into the agentic era for enterprise automation. And at Automation Anywhere, I hope this is a good wrap-up slide for you to take home. What we have launched, what you have seen yesterday at the keynote, a series of product innovations to drive more cloud-native, high-performance, agentic automation capabilities for your entire enterprise. So this is a very unified platform. At the bottom, you have the automation system. This is where we designed to ensure the connectivity, the interoperability across all of your platforms and systems, right? Through a series of those integration capabilities. At the same time, we ensure the AI governance, security, and also the communications across the various databases, all right, and the real time. And the build on top is the agentic system. This is where you see a lot of innovations happening with the emergence of Gen AI, where on the document, we have document agents. In terms of developing your workflow, we have the generative automation capabilities. When it comes to your UI bots, right, and we have the self-healing agents to ensure the persistency when you change your web interfaces, it can navigate and take multiple tasks and the steps like a human being. We also have agents that understand your custom context when it comes to process orchestration, and we also have the process discovery agents. Now, all those agents are powered by our proprietary process reasoning engine that has the AI automation model that is trained on millions of those process metadata, UI data, and the document data, so that it understands what it takes to get the seamless real-time orchestration done. And also the agentic orchestration is one of the major announcements at this year's Imagine 2025, because the orchestration is not just within one single platform or within simple application. It's really designed for orchestrating end-to-end complex operations across various automation systems, your human experts, as well as other AI agents. So the MCP, I hope that you pick up some keywords from this event, like MCP, A2A, all those protocols are emerging in the industry to ensure the connectivity. So Jay can speak to that more in detail later on. Lastly, I want to point it out is to deliver the agentic automation experience better for your business, right? And to drive the adoption, you need that accessibility to business users, the delivery model. And their experiences of using the automation. Now, conversational automation becomes so important while integrating the AI agents into your automation design. So it's no longer just a back office, but how you deliver directly to where your business users are using the automation. And that's also in turn making your AI agents become smarter, right? So that design model becomes important, and we have also the agentic workspace now embedded in the agentic solutions layer. Anyway, so this is a quick wrap up. I know a lot of new concepts, new ideas, so stay with us throughout the year. We're gonna have a lot of webinars, and like today's discussion coming up to be made available to you. And if you have any emergent questions, let me know. I am all ears. I love chatting with our customers and partners to learn about your use cases. So I'm your person if you have ideas. I love ideas. So that being said, I am going to hand it off to Curtis first, because Curtis has been a perfect example while going from RPA to APA on this journey. And because they have a very massive foundation of automation. So tell us about your journey and what you've been working on.
So as mentioned, I work for Owens & Minor. Owens & Minor is in the healthcare space. We do a number of things. So one thing we do is we supply products to hospitals. We contract with them. We do supply chain. We've got distribution centers all over the U.S., and we contract the purchasing and the buying and the delivery of product. And so there's a lot of work there. And then we also own a number of businesses that are patient direct, like Apria Healthcare, where a patient needs CPAP or a patient needs oxygen, and we contract with their insurance. So their insurance says, you need to go to Apria to get your CPAP device. Then we work through that whole process, getting everything approved, getting the requirements met. You have to have a doctor script, things like that. So we contact doctors. We gather all that information together. So there's a lot of steps. And then we have to also follow all the requirements for Medicare, Medicaid, and particular insurance companies. So using bots has helped us with this process all the way through. So we have one process that we were talking about where we have used some agentic. So one of our challenges was with the Owens & Minor business model, where they're dealing with literally thousands and thousands of orders, and they get all these emails every day. We have clients asking, hey, where's this? Or I need to get a price on these things, or how's my order with this going? So now we have about 150 agents that are answering all those. The challenge was really, right now, before we put the automation in place, it was taking 5 to 15 minutes per email. So that's a lot of time. So we were hoping to get it reduced to as much as we could. So if we want to move to the next, then. So what we looked at doing first is we needed to be able to receive the emails in. And, as much as you can, you want this process to be really smooth for your clients. You don't want them to have to jump to a lot of different steps. So we're using the bots to do a lot of the process. So we set up the bots with a trigger to watch for these emails coming in. As these emails came in, we used AI to identify the intent of each of the emails. So we determined the type of categories that we were expecting. So like one of the categories might be that they're asking for the ETA on a product, for example. And so based on each of the different types of categories, then we coded the process to do something a little bit different. So for the ETA process, we know that they're asking about something that they've ordered. So first we looked at the sender, and we looked up the sender's address in our system, and we got the account information. Okay, so that's all good. Now we need to find out what they're asking about. So since it was ETA, we looked for PO numbers, we looked for product numbers, we looked for product descriptions in the email by asking AI, do you see anything like this? And of course, that took a little bit of practice with the prompts to get what we were looking for. Once we did that, then we pulled our data warehouse for those orders. And I guess you're having trouble with the screens. But we pulled the data warehouse for those orders, and we grabbed the set of orders that were open for that particular client. And if they provided other information, we were able to filter that down. If not, we put that all together, and we built a table out of that. Then we added all of this information along with asking AI to read the original email and the information that we found and create a response email to the client. Now, the company wasn't real comfortable with just auto-sending that, so what we did is we've integrated that all into Salesforce using Copilot, and we put the email in the table and the new email that goes back to the client along with the information in a sales feed. So then the agent will be working this queue. She'll open it up, and she can either choose to send it as is, or she can make slight changes, alter it, and then send it. That way, somebody's reviewed it and made sure that it's met their requirements. So by doing so, we gain acceptance. The team is saying, this looks good. We're seeing, 70, 80% of the emails that we're generating look good enough to send back without any change. And the ones that do need change, a lot of times, we have people that want to personalize them because they've dealt with these clients for years, and that's fine too. But we've dropped it down to usually, on average, it's taking about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. And that's a big savings across 150 employees. So one other key to this is, we estimated the savings and we forecasted it, but how do you tell exactly how much money you've saved? How much time have you saved? You can forecast it, but the only way to really tell is to collect data as you're actually working. So each of these emails that comes in, we're going to put data points in some tables. Okay, and as the user opens these up and sends off an email, we're going to put points into the table. Any point in the process that we've automated, we allow for certain points, and those points have a value. And then we update COE Manager, which is a tool that Automation Anywhere, or Automation, the company also sells, and it updates this dynamically. So at the end of the day, we have all the counts of all the savings in this tool, and we can show our manager, our company, how much our team is saving them. And this has really been a great tool for buy-in.
This is fantastic. If I have to summarize 2 takeaways for me, you can share your takeaways with us, is that, first of all, one of the biggest questions we got asked from automation leaders is that, okay, what kind of business use cases should I start with, right? With all those emergent capabilities. That's number one. And what I learned from Curtis is that to look for those high impact use case, but small enough where you can experiment. In this case, it's the email, where there's a huge amount of unstructured data to start with, and it's high impact because it's affecting the core business, order management. Right? And so leveraging the right technology, orchestrating across Salesforce and also mainframe, ERP system, right? And this is the perfect application of what we are talking about here is the agentic process orchestration system here, right? So this is really smart design. But also second takeaway from Curtis's example is how you communicate up, right? That's the second most commonly asked questions from business leaders as well as automation leaders is how am I supposed to convince my boss, my manager, the value of AI agents and the agentic process orchestration? So
Yeah.
there you go.
Now, in this slide, we did have to take the amounts out because legal wouldn't allow us to display that. But you can read some of the hours down below. So like last year, I think we saved around 760 or 780,000 hours of labor using our automations, which is great. And, so when we had to meet with our management team and they said, okay, can you prove that you're saving all this? We were able to prove it. And as we're collecting these details to justify it, we record all that stuff too, and we keep that. So we say, the business has agreed that this is the amount of points or the amount of time that we're saving them and the amount of dollars that we're saving them. So we keep all that as backup too.
And a COE Manager Plus or Pro, I think, is also monitoring all the automation performance across systems. So it's not just within Automation Anywhere. So for additional information, please contact your Automation Anywhere account managers. That being said, so we got Gopi here to share a very different industry perspective, and let's see his automation journey.
All right, thank you everyone for joining. So just want to start our journey, how we started from RPA to APA. So I work for Travel and Leisure. So we have almost 250 resorts across the world. So we are trying to manage all the resort operations and a back-end office operations, right? So, we do have different brands like Club Wyndham, Margaret Villa, and Worldmark. So each brand has their own operations. And we started in 2021 to see how can we improve efficiencies and productivity across different operations. So we have done multiple proof of concepts as well as we have worked with the different business stakeholders and finding out the right candidate where we can find out the right tool. So as part of that exercise, we found out Automation Anywhere is the right strategic tool to improve processes as well as productivity across the company. And then we started work with our business SLTs as well as our IT leadership, just make sure that now we get a buy-in from them and also find out some quick wins where you can just deliver it quickly and deliver tangible benefits across the industry, company. So that's what we started in 2021, and then in 2022, that's where we started building foundation. When I say foundation, it's across the infrastructure as well as across the organization operational, right? So we have done some road shows, we have done some workshops, and also we went to different businesses, SLTs, and shared already proven solution that we already delivered to one of the business group, and then we got some buy-in from them. From there, we got a lot of use cases, and then in next year, in 2023, so that's where we started building a pipeline, right process, right? So we have a business relationship management between IT and business operations. So that's where we started scaling up, into different business departments. So that's where we went there and we spoke to our leaders as well as different business groups. So we got a big pipeline and also we identified a well-defined process to prioritize all the requirements, all the use case that we get it, and understand kind of low-hanging fruits where you can deliver most, right? That's the first thing we did, so that we can deliver quickly and we can get tangible benefits. That will be a big thing for business leadership to showcase the value that we are delivering. From there in last year in 2024, so that's where we started expanding into business, different business groups, and also touching multiple systems. So we started with very independent silo processes at that time in 2023, but when it comes to last year, we have done complex processes where it is touching almost 5 to 10 departments. So that's where we have worked with the different business groups, and also at the same time in parallel we also started building a good foundation for the environment, in a platform that we are building it. So we have found out that it's going to grow quickly. So we had a really solid foundation work with Automation Anywhere, as well as some of our infrastructure partners as well. So we have a solid partnership over there and solid foundation over there, so that we can scale up quickly by looking at the roadmap that we have already in the pipeline. And today we built, I want to say, couple of hundreds of automations in the last 3 to 4 years. And also we are moving from RPA to APA. So there are tons of manual processes that we automated. However, we cannot automate all the processes because of limitation that we have with RPA. And that's where we started introducing AI into some of the processes where we can automate from end to end, and also touching multiple departments like resort operations, contact center, finance, and inventory management, right? So that's where we started introducing AI, and we are in the initial stage right now, but the goal is to expand into different departments as well as scale up the way we did for RPA in the last couple of years.
And Gopi, before you move on to the lessons learned,
Sure.
takeaways, I want to, sorry. Before you sharing more insights, I want to ask you to just give us a quick overview of the scope of your operational environment, because not all of us are familiar with your leisure and travel, Inc.
Yeah. So, our focus is mostly on customer experience, right? So predominantly you focus the processes that are touching customers, right? Especially in the contact center operations, as well as finance operations and resort operations, right? So whenever somebody calls in, right, so saying that, hey, I want to book a reservation, right? So our agents are touching multiple systems. It's not only one system. There are 10 to 15 systems to grab the information, and that is kind of delaying call handle time, and even the operational expense really high because the agents are spending more time on the calls, right? So that's where we brought in this automation in the back end, where we can pull the data together, as well as we can track some critical information that they wanted, so that they can do some wrap up information after the call is over, right? So it's like a single stop solution. We wanted to build it, and still we are almost there, but there are another scope where we can introduce AI to improve efficiencies, which are touching customer.
What kind of volume of cost are you getting?
Probably Paul can answer it, but he's our business partner.
3.7 million calls a year.
Plus
Wow.
we have emails as well, that comes
Plus
to our
emails.
right.
So how many applications are you using for your call center operations?
Pretty big number, right? So probably I want to say like 20 to 30 applications.
20 to 30 applications.
Yeah,
Right.
and most of them are homegrown, because ours is like very traditional processes, right? So we built our homegrown systems, and very particular to the particular process or operations, right? So, and automating those processes definitely much complex than where you can connect to Salesforce or some other CRM systems, right? So you need to work with the applications teams and make sure that you have a customizable APIs that you can connect it, and you can build some automation on top of it.
That's great. Another question, sorry. I just have tons of questions, and feel free to ask as well. Usually most of the call center application today is single pane of glass. That's their design model. So what is driving your additional, more advanced orchestration initiatives?
So definitely, it's more around the AI side, right? So now we have some of the systems we have automated to pull the data, to automate some of the processes, but we are not doing any predictive analysis. Somebody called in, and we are working on more reactive mode. So the goal is to consolidate all the systems and give some predictive analysis information that will help agent to provide right service to the customer.
So more insights. And
Yeah.
also, I would assume with 3.7 million calls, you want to turn around those resolution much
Oh,
faster.
yeah. So if you just reduce like a minute per call, right? Not even minute, like 10 seconds, right? That drives a lot of revenue savings, as well as it impacts more customer experience as well.
Makes a lot of sense. Great, awesome. Thanks for you.
All right. So as part of our journey, I want to share some of the experiences and best practices that we built, especially when you are building a foundation, and also you see that it's going to scale up quickly, and especially make sure you have a right infrastructure in place, not like okay, I'll start with a single server, right? So just look at how your pipeline to see how you can stabilize and build more robust infrastructure. And also the data store is really important. So have a structured data model in the back end to track all the board transactions or AI transaction. Make sure that you have a good audit trail where you can show it to your audit team as well down the line. So the other important key thing is identity and access management. So we deliver a lot of automations to different business groups, but certain types of data can be accessed to a particular business group only, right? So that's more like a security and a compliance thing as well. So make sure that you put guardrails around each process. Okay, you built a process that is already automated, expose that data to a particular business group only, not to the entire, either contact center or entire organization, right? So keep that restriction around the data security, as well as try to use as much as multi-factor authentication to secure your transaction that you are doing. So we are touching multiple data sets, not only like general process information, but even like financial information, some contract information, everything we are touching it. So you need to make sure that you're sharing securely and also provide access to the data to a particular account, like try to use service accounts for that as well. So the next thing that we started this year is, as I mentioned last time, so we have automated some of good processes, but we were not able to automate all end-to-end processes. So that's where we introduced AI into some of our contact center operations and try to provide as much as good information for the agents so that they can serve better. So we started building chatbots, and also we started building some task automation. So if they wanted to add a certain kind of information, for example, guest name is needed for one of the reservations. So they can easily feed that into chatbot, and then the AI assistant can go and update the reservation system automatically. So they need not have login process. They need not to go to navigate a bunch of screens to add the data. It just happens in a second. So that's what we are trying to achieve down the line. All right. So I want to share some of best practices that we learned in our journey. I think most of you know, right? So service account management is really, really important. So initially, a lot of people started their journey and started using their own account or user account. But I highly recommend to use service account, and you make sure that you review with your internal teams to use the right account for the right process, right? So there is a lot of discussion with our security and compliance team. So sometimes you use one service account to touch different data sets, but that may not be compliant, right? So that service account is dedicated only for the contact operation, maybe finance operation. Try to create as much as layers between that so that it will be more secured, and also you will not see any compliance issues down the line. And as I mentioned earlier, so make sure you have a multi-factor authentication any system that user is touching. So you're sending in a report and you're displaying a report on some of the local solution application. Make sure that you have Okta or Azure is integrated to display the data so that you will be more restricted to particular set of process. And other one is RBC. So everybody knows, right? So it's a role-based control system. So if you are trying to expose anything to your end users like agents, right? So just make sure they have right restriction using role-based access tools within the system so that they can access it properly, and also you have a more visibility who is accessing data, who is transacting the data when somebody is kind of trying to look at the information as well. The other important thing is data privacy and handling. So that's more around the data classification. So a lot of times we start building data sets for any APA or RPA, right? So you start with one set, but I highly recommend to have a better vision and to build a single source of truth for each data set, right? So for example, you need a customer information. So you try to come up with a better vision, what kind of data set is needed, try to build that, and that data set can be used in multiple areas of process. Otherwise, you see a lot of rework, a lot of back and forth to have the data set. So that is the best thing you need to follow whenever you wanted to have data classification. And whenever you're touching any PI or PC information, so make sure you loop in your risk management team, security and compliance teams, so that you will have a right guardrails around that, and you will not see any leakages once you deliver that automation for, especially for payment processing or any PCI processing that you are offering. And as I mentioned, earlier, so infrastructure and platform hardening is really, really important. So we do have different categories of, systems in our environment. So just make sure that you categorize right and build the right platform for automation as well. So you might be using servers, you might be using API tasks, right? So just try to categorize right and make sure that you are using particular set of environments, particular set of variables only for particular department. That way you will not see any deviation when you are trying to use the same account across different business functions as well. And if you are using any on-prem servers, so you make sure you own that patch management, and also try to go with a manual process. Make sure that you test it out first before rolling out to your production environment. Another one is secure integration. I think you might have heard a lot of sessions, right? So make sure you connect to the APIs in a proper security and tokenized model, rather than going through UI or in any username and password. So that way it will be more secured, and you can easily access the data that is related to the API as well. And not least, so which is compliance and governance, which is really, really important. So as Curtis mentioned, so when you are building any automation, it may be RPA, it might be APA, make sure you track all the transactions. There are multiple reasons why you need it. So a lot of times we just jump onto the development, we deliver it, but then when you wanted to track any transaction related, it is really tough. So when you have audit trails, you can always capture what is estimated effort that you got from business and what is actual based on the audit trails. And second thing is, you might have internal audit teams. If somebody wanted to track, hey, how is this bot is functioning? You can clearly pull out the data from the audit trails, and you can show that information, how the bot is functioning. It is really, really helpful. And the other one is, it is helpful for the team who is supporting those, bots or AI agents, so they can look at the trails, they can easily troubleshoot it, they can find the better solution by looking at the audit track as well. So that's really important. And again, introduce change management. If you're making any change, make sure that you work with your IT change management, and also introduce CAB approval process. It might be a minor change, it might be a larger change, right? So keep that in the loop so that it will be more secured way to move any code to production using change management process. And most of you know about third-party libraries. Sometimes our platform may not support, so you may need to get some libraries from bot store and somewhere else. So that's really important to loop in your security and compliance team. Make sure that they know about this third-party library you are using it, and make sure you go through the documentation, and also first try with proof of concept, then include it into your actual solution. That is the best recommendation for any third-party risk libraries that you guys are using it. So the last one is legal review. So it's most of there are some sensitive data that you guys are touching it. So, and when you are sending any communication or anything that you are tracking related to the customers, and make sure that you review that content with your legal teams, get approval on that. Sometimes we know that sending an email is pretty easy, but it may lead to a lot of legal issues. So just make sure that you involve your legal teams, review the email template or whatever you're sending to your customers, and then you try to introduce that new template into your automation model. It's a pretty long journey from last 4 years, and we have delivered very good productivity and efficiency across the company, and we are really scaling up. And again, some of my great team members are here, so I want to thank them to take from 0 to almost like 80% of the automation that we wanted to achieve.
You guys are deployed on the cloud, right?
Yes, we are on cloud, so that's the one best part. When we delivered everything, it's pretty easy to deliver to cloud, and also all the latest greatest updates coming from automation, pretty easy for us to manage.
And then congratulations again for winning the award.
Oh, thank you so
at
much.
Automation Anywhere. That's why you are the award winner. Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, thank you so much. Yes. I mean, to be honest, this is really what we call the best practice punch list. If you want to ensure the secure, seamless, real-time, right, and accountable ways of deploying a very sophisticated agentic process orchestration solutions for your organization. But also, so questions really quick for all three of you. Do you see that you can develop AI agents for each of those bullet points in the near future? Probably, right? Probably.
Yes, I think one of the great things about Automation Anywhere is it's really flexible. I mean, you can use it with a lot of different technologies, and we've been able to come up with a solution for almost everything. And so definitely if you have a problem statement, I'm sure we could come up with a solution for it.
Yeah. And I want to talk about some of the bullet point you mentioned, right? Especially like legal review. So it's pretty malware right now, right? So we can definitely think about AI agent that can give some recommendation if it's the right content based on our legal policies and all, right? So, and then, you can see that will help legal team to make sure that, they're not spending too much, back and forth reading the template that we send, plus looking at the policies, comparing it, whether it's compliant or not, right? So you can build some kind of legal AI agent that will help you to automate this process.
Excellent. So my takeaway is that if you can describe the process, right, and if you can actually know how to navigate from who to who and what kind of the general process looks like, you can develop AI agents for. Now, the only thing I think in the near future is not going to be created or replaced by AI agents is, what do you think? What's on the list? Change management. I'm just going to say it, right? Because to create the consensus, to drive the change, it's not a small undertaking, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be replaced by AI agents. That communication skills is still very much the human skill sets, unique to human. But the other side of the change management equation is the experience. Because if you're not delivering the right experience or intuitive or accessible, and a lot of friction in the entire adoption cycle, you're not going to see change either. So this is what we can do on the technology side, changing people's mindset through a much easier, intuitive experience. So I'm going to have our subject matter expert here, Jay, who has been working on and solving this very much problem plaguing the enterprise automation technology for many, many years. So he's cracking the code here. So share what's on your strategy map.
Sure, yeah. I think first of all, exactly to what you mentioned, right? The concept, okay. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The concept of an open platform is something we take to heart, right? So that means exactly to your point about how flexible we are in terms of how you can map certain problem sets into exact solutions. So for us, keeping the platform open, whether it's APIs, whether it's agentic, whether it's via MCP, is something we take to heart, right, on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So to what Linda mentioned, I think, especially in the last couple of years, everybody is saying, I'm done with low-code tools. I'm done with running automations. I want everything in English. I want everything in my language of choice. And I want everything to be interactive. So one of the things we've been working on is how can we expose a lot of the, I would say, the goodness of all things that are agentic, right? Because everybody thinks you just give a goal, you give a path to the agent, and the agent can come back with all kinds of results, right? Like if you go back to even the initial demonstration that Mihir showed in his keynote. So this is something, I and my team have been working on in the last, I would say, probably if you take the journey over the last 3-4 years, we started off with probably some of you who have been with us called RE, and then, it became Automation Copilot. So it's like saying, how can we bring a lot of the automations more to business users in the applications where they are, so that they can then initiate processes, provide human inputs along the way, include, any validations for doc automation. What we've been doing is taking this to the next level to say, how can we build a very simple, easy interaction layer on top where somebody can type in what they want to do. It could be something as simple as saying, hey, tell me something about the insurance policies, or tell me something about a return policy, right? Or tell me something about a cancellation policy. The initial versions of some of these are more knowledge. So, probably a lot of you have heard of, LLMs and knowledge searches and all that. So that's like almost become a standard kind of way to do it. But then a lot of times what we see is beyond that, if somebody wants to take an action, right? If somebody wants to say, let me go ahead and issue a refund request, or if somebody says, let me go ahead and create something here where I need to escalate this, at that point in time, you need to be able to, initiate something, right? Run a process, initiate a process. So at that, for the user who's there, this could be a contact center person, this could be somebody who's on the business side. He doesn't know anything about the process. He doesn't know anything about the automation. So that's kind of what we've been trying to say, express what you want in English. And then we have what we call the process reasoning engine. I think you must have heard of it a few times in the last couple of days, is to say, how exactly can we, using AI, take all the, various automations that we have inside our repository, summarize them in simple English, and then match it to the intent. So that way, you might have, probably, a few dozens of things that are close to the intent, but then using AI and summarization, we come up with saying, hey, are these the two which match your requirement? And then you can run it right from there, right? So think about this, right? I mean, if you went back 3 years without some of these capabilities, somebody had to send an email to IT, or somebody like a Gopi in COE, he would then probably pick it up in an hour or something. He's busy with 1,000 other things. So literally, this is where a lot of the benefits come in. That means, and then if you add it all up, for a customer on the other side, that's huge, right? Because it just means that something that might take probably many minutes to an hour gets done, within like probably a few minutes, right? So that's human agent collaboration for us. We have an exciting partnership with Amazon Q on this particular area. We have, Amazon is a great hyperscaler partner of ours. For those of you who probably attended a breakout yesterday afternoon, this particular solution that combines Amazon Q along with Automation Anywhere and then our process is gone through a successful preview. It's going to be released in summer. And for those of you like Gopi who are deployed on our cloud, this is available, as the next rev of our automation copilot. Yeah.
Very exciting.
I think this describes it as to how we have gone ahead and built the solution. One thing we believe in is that LLMs are a very, very powerful technology, right? It's a question of what use cases you put them to. You train these LLMs based on the type of data. So for us, because we are process experts, we train it with a lot of our process runs, and you probably have heard 400 million. So every year we have like 400 million or millions of process runs that happen. The LLM gets trained on that, and then based on that, it's able to map your intent very easily using the process reasoning engine. Under the covers, this is like a full-blown solution, right? So you guys, when somebody is looking at this, you don't need to think about, oh, how do I initiate Amazon Q? How do I initiate Bedrock? How do I initiate this? It's like saying it's like a full-blown solution on top of our cloud. So you just need to kind of say, I want to get into some conversational things here. So this brings the goodness of Amazon Q, Bedrock, probably cloud, a bunch of other things, right? And the best part about this is exactly to what Curtis mentioned. This is all on top of our platform. So it covers all of the things that even Gopi mentioned about governance, about controls, about RBAC. So it's all taken to heart. So somebody just can't ask certain things in English and get to run any process. So it's obviously bound within certain responsibilities and roles and all that. So that's really the goodness of all of this coming together, using our agentic process orchestration as well as our process reasoning engine here. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, with that, I'm going to pause here and see any questions from you.
Hello. So for someone like me who wanted to get started with this API journey, right, like from RPA, right, I'm not going to undermine the battle that we're going to have with our CXOs, right, whatever that's going to be the outcome of it. But from the implementation standpoint of view, right, of course, we had to start with pilots, and we had to prove that value to see if does it really make sense for the companies to do this, right, especially where I belong. How do you recommend here for the pilots, right? Especially, does that make any sense to start the pilot with bundling some of our existing, RPA-powered process, bundle them, channel them through the APIs to test it out how it works, or taking some brand news?
I'll give a short answer, and then I'll take it to the customers, right? Okay. So
Yeah, you can take it.
So one of the things we have heard from many of our customers is, there are two approaches. There's one approach which says that, something that's like really customer facing, where you probably need to rethink or reimagine how you want to do that, is a good candidate for API style treatment, right? Agentic treatment. We also have customers who say, hey, right now I'm able to automate only like say 30-40% of a larger end-to-end process. And then if you bring in agentic stuff here, without me having to write a code, a bunch of business rules, I can introduce agents into the mix and then expand the value of that automation and and the coverage itself, right? So those are two types of approaches I've seen, but would love to hear from Gopi and Curtis.
Yeah, our experience is more like we picked a brand new use case and based on certain criteria, right, in a kind of simple use case, and also that will give more tangible benefits, right? At the same time, it's not complex when you work with your security and compliance team because that's a big thing. Everybody, when you say AI, and they open their ears very big and look at okay, what is data you're transferring, and where the content is going, right? So pick some simple use case, and that will it first use case. First thing is like see if that can give tangible benefits, or even it is okay if you can get low benefits, but the thing is like you get quick approvals, and also you can test it easily, not spending too much time on the development.
Just want to add a couple things to that question, right? So was it something from your organization standpoint, was it something like a top-down approach, like, hey, we need something on the AI, and can we leverage more on what you were doing in RPA, now move it towards AI side of it, or was it like you guys bring those ideas back to the top management?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we already have business partners, right? So we just started socializing about AI. So that's not like top level. That's more like a mid-senior management level. So we shared, our solutioning approach, right? And they came to us with the problem statements. Like they gave like 10 problems, right? And we chose the, hey, out of 10, this might be a simple use case which we can try it out. Then we had make sure that our leaders and even business leaders are aligned, right? So then take that to top level, make sure they are aligned, then start working on that use case.
Curtis, you had a point of view?
So yeah, so we actually have idea workshops with a lot of our business teams. They present ideas. They say it would be great if you could do this or that. We do record all those, and then as we're learning these things, we say, oh, look, this AI can do this, AI can do this. We actually then say, do we have all the pieces that we need to be able to do this? And once we believe we do, and if the ROI matches, so we do an ROI assessment on each of the ideas, because some are worth doing and some are not. There's costs to using AI, there's costs to using the tools. You want to make sure it equals out. In the case of the automation we were showing, we did work with AA to do a pilot, and they assisted us the first time. And so they helped us learn how to do that. And then once we put all those pieces together, we proved it. And we did this in such a way that nothing really went out without an agent reviewing and making sure that it was responsible and it was handled correctly. And I think that's part of the key is each of these are tools that you can use. So practice with these tools, learn how they work, test them on your own, in your own sandbox at what you're trying to do, and then put them together to make something. And that's what they're talking about. This is an orchestration tool. We can put it all together to solve a problem.
Fantastic. That was insightful. Thank you.
And you show the evidence through COE.
Yeah, definitely. And they want to see the evidence because we've spent this much money. They want to see, and I think right now we're at about 18 times our cost. Now, some automations have been a lot more and some have been a lot less, but we take overall, so.
As far as you keep the CFOs happy.
Yeah, that's the first
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah, when you deliver a first solution, make sure that your SLT is happy, right? So they look at numbers and savings, right? So that's a key driver to get into next level.
Communication strategy. All right. Well, we're at the end of this session. So
One more question?
Well, one more question. Yes, one more question. Any additional burning questions on top of your mind? Well, I mean, it's
I have a question.
You have a question. Yes.
So when you promote let's just say a bot, why do I have to constantly click the override button? Why is it default to skip?
Repeat the question.
Deployment.
Okay. I'm sure my The guys who work with the governance teams and all probably have polled a few customers and said that that's the default option, but I can take it back to my team and say what was the reason why they did that. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would think you would want to make sure that you'd actually do want to deploy it if you've already got code there, because you could have multiple environments where you've made changes. And so if you have that package already deployed on the other machine, it wants to give you the chance to make sure. Or do you really want to overwrite this one because you're going to overwrite it with this package? We try to promote from dev to UAT to prod, and that should be the way it goes. But every once in a while, we do have someone that's making a change in UAT because, they couldn't get into dev or something else was wrong, or I had one guy that says, it's faster there, nobody else is using it. But that's not the plan, that's not the way it's supposed to be. But that's probably what they've run into.
I mean, this morning I spoke.
At a role-based security role at that point where they can't do that in those entire environments, so they can only override from dev to UAT. You'll never have that issue in prod because it's locked down.
That's true, you could lock that down.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I think it's just an extension.
Repeat the question.
Yeah.
The comment.
Which,
The comment. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to hear it.
No, I think his question is more, can we lock down the override option for production? Dev is okay, dev to UAT is okay, but when it comes to UAT and productions, can we lock down that override option? So that's the question he asked.
and obviously, when you do set up your control rooms, you can set up certain people can only do this or certain people can only do that. So definitely you can lock
In
it
fact,
in.
just to close out this morning, I was at breakfast with a customer and they were saying, hey, why don't you also let me copy credential vaults across the environments? And I said, hang on, I need to.
Each environment is different.
Well, we're going to close the session for now, but we're going to stay for several more minutes for any additional questions. As a wrap up for Imagine 2025, because this is the last session, I just wanted to say thank you all for leading the charge for your organization as the automation leader. And also I want to thank my panelists for sharing best practices, a lot of insights, a lot of great information. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we are in a very exciting time, so don't miss the opportunity to be that orchestrator. Thank you.